logical reasoning. Then we have English usage, RC. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the same 6 sections which are always in the paper. Some of them are combined. GK always comes as a standalone section. EU and RC come as combined or as separate section. Similarly, DA and LR has come as separate and combined sections. So these are the 6 sections. They may come as 6 sections. They may come as combined sections. Okay? And hence, it becomes important that you are able to allocate your time across all the 6 sections in a proper manner. Negative marking is defined very clearly. The cutoff marks the last 3 years. From 2010 to 2012, you see a huge jump in the cutoff marks. There are 2 reasons for that. The number of calls from 2010 to 2011 was reduced by 10%. The number of calls came down and hence the cutoff went up. Second, the paper became easier. So when I'm looking at 2011 and 12 papers, these are easier papers as compared to 2010 and earlier. And which is why you see the cutoff having jumped to a great extent on account of degree of difficulty. Yes, the number of calls have reduced, that has also played a small role, but it is essentially, I will say, the level of difficulty of the paper, which is the reason why the score has gone up. Now, the second thing is, the cutoff marks have to be again looked at based on the category. So let us look at the last year cutoff marks based on the category. General category, again I am looking at IIFT paper of 2012, last year paper. For general category, the cutoff was 50 marks. For OBC, which is a non-creamy layer OBC, it was 45 marks. For SC, ST and persons with disability, it was 40 marks. Okay. So you can say roughly 5 marks reduction on account of OBC and another 5 marks reduction for the SC, ST and the physically disabled category. Okay. The other thing which is there with respect to IIFT paper is they may or may not have sectional cutoff. So when I'm looking at this paper, the sectional cutoff is a gray area. So we do not know whether they will put sectional cutoff this year or not. But in 2012, there was sectional cutoff. Earlier papers, many times they had not been sectional cutoff. So you always have to work with an assumption that there will be sectional cutoff. It's another matter that the sectional cutoffs are so low that they really do not matter. We'll discuss that as we go along into the session. Let's have a quick look at the last 2 years paper. Okay? And this also gives you the sectional cutoff. So last year GK was a 14-mark affair with a sectional cutoff of 1.67. Quant had a sectional cutoff of 6 marks. DILR was one combined section. It has a sectional cutoff of 8.9. EURC was again a combined section, 7 marks. Now when you add all these 4 sectional cutoffs, 7 and 9, 16 and 6, 22 and another 2, let's say. The total of these 4 comes out to be, about 24. But the overall cutoff is 50. Or in other words, when I'm looking at this paper, I need not be too worried about the sectional cutoff. The sectional cutoffs are very low, and as long as you can get about let's say 40% or a third on the lower side of the marks allocated for the section, you are very safe. Okay. And GK, something which worries most of you, I'm sure 1.67 would have been a significant relief for many of you. Okay. Similarly, when you look at the year before last paper, the IIFT 2011 paper, the overall cutoff was 45, but it had 6 different sections. The same 6 sections were there, but each one of them was different item. But there was no sectional cutoff. The second thing is, was there a sub-sectional cutoff, which means was there separate sectional cutoff for DI and LR? No. So their sectional cutoff is there in the paper, but sub-sectional cutoff is not there. So please remember this point, sub-sectional cutoff is not there. Hence, if you are very strong in DI and not so strong in LR, you can maximize in DI and hardly do any LR or do 0 LR. Similarly, between EURC. So you need to be clear, there is only a sectional cutoff until the question paper or the instruction sheet says that really do not worry about the sectional, sub-sectional cutoff, but yes, do assume there will be a sectional cutoff. Now, when you look at both the years 2012 and 2011, you will find the pattern is almost similar. When I say the pattern, I'm saying first of all, GK is half a mark, Quant is 1 mark. These are kind of standard items, and DI again is 1 mark. These three are usually 1 mark items. NR has varied from 0.75. In fact, if I remember correctly, sometimes it was a little below 0.75 also to 1. This keeps on fluctuating. So GK, Quant, DI typically these are fixed, and so on. So is EU. RC again there is a variety. But when I'm looking at this paper, my focus has to be I need to make sure I get at least a 55 marks, assuming it to be a paper which is similar to last year. Not 50, which is a sectional cutoff, but higher, because if I'm at the edge of the sectional cutoff, my chances of making to the final merit list reduces. Let's go section by section. Okay. Let's look at the section and let's see what is it that can or should be attempted or cannot be attempted or should not be attempted. So when you're looking at the English usage part, first I'll come to comprehension later. Grammar or sentence correction, this will be a pleasure when you compare it with CAT. Okay, so with respect to CAT, the degree of difficulty will be lesser, and unlike CAT, where you would have struggled to attempt that 1 or 2 question of sentence correction, here you will find out of 4, maybe 2 to 3 can be attempted. Similarly, vocabulary is not difficult, fill in the blanks is fine. Spellings, either you know it or you don't know it. Parajumble is a difficult area. I'm sorry, not parajumble, figures of speech. Okay. Figure of speech is difficult that time, and you'll find this true for IIFT that all kind of questions typically come in the paper. So instead of giving 5 or 6 questions from one exam, most of the time they'll give you 2 to 2 questions from all areas, and that is what is visible in most of the cases out there. Okay. So when you're looking at this section, the areas or the portions which you need to be careful about is definitely the spelling part, because many of us are poor in spelling. The figure of speech part. These are the 2 areas where, if in doubt, leave. Don't worry. English comprehension is only half a mark per question in English usage and 0.75 marks per question in reading comprehension. So if you're in doubt, just leave. Don't worry about it. Okay. Reading comprehension, typically 4 passages, 16 questions. That has been the trend. Passages would be longer than what we have seen in CAT, but not difficult. Unlike CAT, these are going to be easy passages. So it should not be too much of a problem. GK. Now the interesting thing about GK is that again it has got a variety. And your target should be to do 5 to 6 correct questions. Don't worry about marking an answer if you are not sure. So the standard rule for GK is, when in doubt, leave. Do not worry about attempting the question if in doubt. Your task in this section is to read the question, read the choices, 100% sure, mark. Not 100% sure, leave. So when in doubt, leave is the standard rule to be followed. Secondly, the match the following questions. Match the following are definitely to be attempted. When I say definitely to be attempted, it means you definitely have to go through them. But again, the same will apply when in doubt, leave. Don't worry about matching all the combinations. Identify one item, for example, a book and author, you know, one book and one author, start eliminating choices. So match the following works beautifully if you look at eliminating choices. And typically, IIFT paper will have about, let's say, 5 odd or maybe up to 7 also, but you can safely say about 5 match the following question GK, and that is what can help most of you clear the GK cutoff. Remember, it was only 1.667 in the IIFT paper of 2012. Okay. So there is a variety in the kind of question. Read each question and the choices. 100% sure of the answer, mark it. Not sure of the answer, leave it. Okay. Match the following is the key thing. Your target is to do about 5 to 6 questions correctly, and that will give you 2.5 marks, good enough to clear the cutoff. Quant. Again, the area which might create some problem for you, permutation combination probability, and to some extent geometry might be difficult. But when I'm looking at the other areas, they are not very difficult. The interesting thing about quant questions in IIFT is they look difficult. They look difficult and they are lengthy. Why are they lengthy? Because they have a story attached to it. So instead of asking you a straightforward question, they'll create a story around it and they will make you waste half a minute to 45 seconds in reading the question. But yes, you should still read the question. Okay? So they look difficult, they are lengthy to read, but you should still attempt them because the questions are essentially easy. So easy part, while there might be some parts which you are not comfortable, for example, if you are not comfortable with geometry, you can afford to leave it. Okay? And say all permutation combination probability, a place where many people have problems, afford to leave it, not an issue. Okay? But make sure arithmetic, which is usually easy, number system, which is usually easy, can be you attempt them correctly. SQC techniques or working with choices, extremely important. Extremely important. Even in IIFT 2012 paper, you would have seen, if you have attempted that paper, there were about 6 or 7 out of questions of quant which could be attempted just by using the choices. You just look at the choices and you could eliminate. So they are easy. Choices are very, very useful out here. Please make sure you use them in the paper. Data interpretation. Okay. This was the structure last year. Okay. And typically what you'll find that in data interpretation, if you have done something like 8 to 10 questions, it is good. Okay. It is extremely good. 10 odd question is what I would really target, which means half the paper. Okay. Half the paper on the higher side. Now what is special about data interpretation in IIFT is usually the IIFT has calculation focus. The choices may not be very far apart and you will be required to do some amount of calculation. So calculation focus is there. And if IIFT paper has become easier from, let's say, 2009-10 paper to 2011-12 paper, it is essentially because of lower calculation effort. DI has become easier, RC has become easier, hence these papers have become easier. Okay. So calculation is the issue which you need to be looking at. Do not, I am repeating, do not worry about attempting all questions. And even within a set of, let's say, 6 questions, do not look at attempting all 6. 4 of them you find easy, you attempt them. 2 of them, they are lengthy. All choices are very close, leave them. So your task is, strictly speaking, going through the sets of data, identifying the set which is easiest, attempting it, and going on with it. Okay. When I'm looking at this kind of data interpretation paper for IIFT, you need to remember that tables and charts, not charts with values. Okay, these are nothing but charts again. So when I'm looking at a pie chart, the percentage is given in each of those pies. Obviously, it's a table to me. A line chart with the values given is a table to me. So these are the ones which should be preferred. Why they should be preferred? Because you don't have to just worry about estimating the value. Because IIFT paper will have 2 issues. One, I said calculation. The second is value to be taken from the graph. So reading the values on the graph is not time consuming. The graphs are big, and hence it should be avoided. And in the sets which have graphs where you still have to find the value, your task is just to quickly go to the question, see which are the questions which can be solved by just looking at the slope without doing too much of calculation or without getting the value from the graph. Okay. So be careful. 8 to 10 questions, 2 to 3 sets of data are good enough for you. Focus on the tables and the charts which have values given. The charts which do not have values given, do not worry about the entire graph. Just look at working on those questions which can be solved just by looking at the data in terms of flow. Okay. Finally, do not forget that every set will have difficult and easy questions. Leave the difficult question and take only the easy one. Don't worry about attending all 5 or 6 questions. Logical reasoning. Similar to English usage, you will find a large variety out here. You have all kinds of questions. Okay. All kinds of questions. The only item which dominates others is arrangement, but not difficult most of the time. Out of these, the ones which can be time consuming or which can be frustrating are input output and series. Coding decoding is usually easy, direction is easy, word jumbles are not difficult, syllogism, analogy, these are not difficult. Input output is time consuming many a time, and series can be frustrating because you will not be able to identify the pattern. Okay. So as far as these two are concerned, you can be a little careful, but these are the ones which you usually have to attend. LR is the section which usually maximizes. If I have to look at what is key to solving this, doing well in this paper, it is LR, which is one of those items. You have to maximize on LR as far as this paper is concerned. So when I'm looking at this paper in terms of attempting on 24, assuming the paper to be similar to what has been the case in the last 2 years, you have to maximize on LR and QA. Okay. LR and QA typically will be 40 to 45 marks of the question paper. Can you get something like 30 to 35 marks in this, let's say 32 to 33 marks in this section? You have done your job. Okay. Remember the cutoff was 50. I am asking to look at 55 plus. 30 to 35 means you are safe. Second, defend. GK and DI, you have to be defensive. Don't be aggressive. Don't try to attempt too many questions. GK is the place where you will otherwise earn a large number of negatives, and suddenly you will find you will end up with 1 mark in GK, and even with a 60 mark in overall, you will not get a call then. So be defensive when it comes to GK, which means when in doubt, don't attempt. When it comes to DI, again, you have to be defensive, which means look at doing just a few questions to get a decent score. When I say decent score, a 7-8 marks is a decent score for me. So look at attempting maybe half the paper, 10 odd mark question out of 20. Don't be ambitious as far as DI is concerned. So DI and GK, you have to be defensive. So between in GK, I will say your target should be getting about 3 marks or so. And in DI, if you can get 7 to 8 marks, it is safe. So I will say between these two, you can get 10 marks. So between these 4 areas, you should be looking at getting about a 42, 43, maybe 45 marks as far as we are concerned, which leaves the other 2 areas which are EU and RC. Okay. Now EU and RC you can look at getting another 15 marks. Okay. Because EU you can look at getting let's say 5 or 7 marks comfortably. RC you can look at 7-8 marks comfortably, assuming you are good in RC. So if you look at EU and RC giving you anything up to 15 marks on the higher side, or maybe even up to 12 or 13 marks, you will be safe. But the key I will always maintain is you have to maximize in LR and Quant. You have to ensure your negatives don't take you down in GK, and you don't waste too much time in DI. So DI, the issue would be you will end up wasting a lot of time because you will start by saying, oh, I have gone through this data, I should do more questions. Or I have done 4 out of 6 questions, I should do the remaining 2, which will take away your time. So being defensive when it is concerned, a good strategy in DI is to attempt only those sets of data which you can understand and which have values given. In the other sets which do not have values given, quickly go through all the questions in each set and see which questions can be solved just on the basis of slope of the graph, or just by doing some bit of comparison without doing calculation. Those are the questions which have to be attempted. And don't forget, OMR filling takes time. So while it might be 120 minutes for you, remember this will take some 3 to 5 minutes out of your time completely. So budget for this. Don't leave it should not happen that you have not left any time for OMR filling at the end of the paper. Let me come to time allocation. Because there are 6 sections, how do you allocate time? And at this point of time, we do not know whether it is going to be 6 sections or 4 sections. So my default assumption always works on 6 sections, that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections are there. You work on those 6 sections. If it becomes 4 sections because DI and LR are combined and EU and RC are combined, so be it. So in which case I will say these are 4 sections. But my basic way of working when it comes to this paper is that there are 6 sections, and let me look at working with respect to these 6 sections. And hence my time allocation also has to be 6 sections. The first thing again I will say is scanning and filling up the OMR. Assume you will lose 5 minutes. You can be very sure that you will lose something like 5 minutes to be spent on this. Okay. So scanning and OMR filling up. You can assume comfortably 5 minutes more. GK is a 10-minute item. I'm saying just fix that. Okay. You can decide I will do it in the beginning, I will do it in the middle, I will do it in the end. My preference is to start the paper with GK. That is my preference, but should not necessarily that all of you have to follow. So start from wherever you want, but GK you should give 10 minutes. And again I'm repeating, your focus in GK is to read the question, read the choices, 100% sure of the answer, mark it. Not sure of the answer, leave it. Match the following, identify even one match and try to eliminate choices. Target score, I am again repeating in GK, 3 marks, 2.5 marks, done your job. Okay. Next, quant. 25 minutes. You could start by saying, let me give 25 minutes to quant and 10 to 15 minutes to DI and 20 to 25 minutes to LR. Okay. Or in other words, I am saying between DI and LR, can you look at about 35 minutes or so? Okay. So between these two, it comes out to be about 35. Whether you call it 20 plus 15 or 10 plus 25. And when it comes to EU and RC, another 15 minutes each. Okay. And it leaves you a balance of 15 minutes. So this becomes a total of 105 minutes or 15 minutes are left. So one standard way of working in this paper which I adopt is that I will go with this kind of a breakup, which means all I am doing in this round is ensuring that I am clearing the cutoff. And the 15 minutes which are remaining, now I will devote either to LR or to quant and maximize my score. Okay, that is the way I would look at doing this paper. But yes, someone else could say, no, I am stronger in some other area and let me use those 15 minutes. So these 15 minutes are your joker, or your populu which you can use in any section if you want to maximize your time. Now, some of you may not be very comfortable with going back and forth. Okay, in 15 minutes I may not be able to do much. In which case I'll say, if you want to do the paper in one shot and not worry about these 15 minutes at all, scanning and OMR, etc. will still take you 5 minutes. Don't worry about it. That is there. GK I'll still say takes 10 minutes. Okay. To me, the important thing would be if I have to give 5 minutes extra, I would want to give to LR. Okay. So I will say then if you want to fix that time, LR is the area for me where you should look at giving 30 minutes, DI 15 minutes, and quant, let's say 30 minutes. Going beyond 30 minutes in quant will not increase your score. Whatever you are able to do in something like 28 to 30 minutes, in 35 minutes you will do another one odd question. So quant, the upper limit for me is 30 minutes. So it could even be 25 minutes for you and use those 5 minutes for some other place. This is essentially for those who are good in quant. So let me say strong in quant and DI or LR. This is the pattern which you need to be looking at. Okay. So 60 and 45 and 15, yes, that makes it 120. But for someone who is extremely strong in English and RC, not so strong in quant, in which case, while this 5 will remain, GK is still 10 minutes, because even if you are very good in GK, you will complete it in 10 minutes. If you are not good in GK, more time is not going to help you at all. Okay? If you are not very strong in quant, look at restricting it to 25 minutes only. Okay? And look at giving up to 35 minutes to LR. It could be 30, it could go up to 35 minutes to make sure you complete LR. And again, I'm repeating input, output, and the sequence or number series are time consuming, and it may be useful or if they are frustrating because you will not be able to solve it, hence you should then leave it. Okay? DI 15 minutes. Not more than 15 minutes in any case. You could reduce it to 10 minutes also, but 15 minutes in the current pattern is what I am recommending. So this would then make it 35 and 15, 40, 40 and 40, 80. That leaves you 40 minutes for these two sections. So the remaining time comes here. Now, obviously this means you should be good in RC. But also remember, last year RC had a 0.75 marks per question, while Quant and DI had 1 mark per question. And hence, it may not have been very useful doing extra question of RC. RC, the good thing again, it will be factual, or at least has been factual most of the time, but yes, passages are lengthy. So depending upon what is the comfort level, you could go by this method, which means you do a bare minimum in each time slot. For each section, you spend a bare minimum time, which ensures you will definitely clear the cutoff and maybe even go beyond the cutoff in most of them. The remaining 15 minutes in the end, you choose to either use it in LR to maximize your score or Quant to maximize your score. If you are strong in Quant and you don't want to go back and forth, you could just straight away add 5 minutes to Quant, 5 minutes to LR, and make sure you are able to go to top score here itself. And finally, if you are not strong in Quant, but it is EU RC which is your strong point, then obviously you should look at doing more RC. EU more than 15 minutes will not be useful. You'll be able to complete the section comfortably in 15 minutes. So when I'm looking at this kind of a pattern, all I'm doing is I will complete. EU will be completed. Okay. I will have completed GK also, but I will not be able to complete any of the other sections in this time. For example, in 25 minutes, it is unlikely to complete Quant, or in 10, 12 or 15 minutes, you have complete DI. You may be able to complete LR in 25 minutes if you are very good. Okay. So, work out the pattern for yourself. So, work out a pattern for yourself so that you are able to maximize the score. Let me just have a look at the questions which are there so that I can hand those questions. And okay, so like I'll start with the question which I come initially. So those are here already written the question. Please don't write it again. I will go through all the questions, and if you've written it once anywhere, don't worry about it. I'll take up all of them. Okay. Venkat is asking us, can we be sure there will be no sectional cutoff this year? No, we can't be sure. Because we cannot be sure, we will assume there is a sectional cutoff. But what sectional cutoff? Just to remind you, let's go back. The sectional cutoffs. Okay, let me just go back. Yeah, look at these sectional cutoffs. These are the sectional cutoffs for last year. Okay, so the sectional cutoffs are not going to be very different this year also, because the GK will not improve for all of us overnight. We don't work on it, hence, because GK is poor for most of us, it is not a disadvantage. But if you are good in GK in a paper like IIFT, it is a huge advantage. So those of you who are good in GK, my suggestion would be, you should be looking at 7 to 8 marks in GK though. Or maybe even 10 to 12 marks. If you are very good in GK, you can get up to 10 to 12 marks. And those 10 marks, when you say, look at the average score of the others, is going to be 2 marks. That 8 marks is priceless. So good in GK, this is the paper which you have to crack first of all. Okay? And look at the others. Quant, the sectional cutoff 6, DI plus LR, a total of 34 marks, 19 plus 15, 34 marks. Cutoff is 1/4, 9 marks. EU plus RC, 27 marks. Cutoff is 1/4. Cutoff is 1/4. So you can just safely say, if I am able to get 1/4 of the score of a section, I will get the cutoff. And the overall cutoff, look at 60% marks. Okay. Yes, I know the cutoff last year for general category was 50 marks, but I am asking you to look at 55 plus or target 60. So my suggestion would be a general category should target 60. Let me just go back to the whiteboard. So these were the cutoff. A general category, your target, assuming the same paper as last year, it should be 60. 55, 50. Assuming the same level of difficulty. If it is less difficult, obviously it will go up. More difficult, it will come down a little. but I don't expect the degree of difficulty to vary vis-a-vis the last 2 years paper, so they should hold. Subsectional cutoff, yes, Venkat, I'm very sure there will not be subsectional cutoff. The papers don't want to fool, the people who check papers do not want to fool you. They will not give you subsection and then put a subsectional cutoff. So subsectional cutoffs are ruled out. Dishant, your friend is incorrect. Your friend who said that GK cutoff for IIFT was approximately 4 is incorrect. And I have data with me. IIFT had declared it at 1.667. Okay. In what order should you attempt the paper? Completely personal choice. I can tell you my preference. As I said, typically I start the paper with GK. I will give GK 10 minutes. This is my way of working the paper. Not necessarily that you have to follow. You have to create the structure for yourself. Next, I will go to EU and RC. I will give EU 15 minutes, RC 15 minutes. In 15 minutes of EU, I will want to complete the section. In RC, I will do 2 passages. And if the passages are shorter or easier, I might go up to 3, but I will plan to do only 2 passages. Okay. Next, I will go to quant. Okay. After quant, it will be LR, and then finally it will be DI for me. Okay. So now if you notice 15, 15, 30 and 10, 40 have gone. If these 40 have gone, in the remaining time, I first want to make sure I do a some bit of each one of them. A some bit of each one of them means I will, as I said earlier, I will do 25 minutes of quant on the higher side, it could be 20 also. 25 minutes of this and another 15 minutes of DI. So 50, 65, 65 and 30, 95 and 10, 105. So this makes it 105. And then I will come back and spend the remaining 10 minutes either in one of these 2 places. I will most of the time not go to DI because in these 15 minutes, I would have most probably done something like 10 odd questions. Okay? About 10 questions, so it will not be required. But if I have not done sufficient, I may go back to it. So most of the time, those extra extra time will be used in one of these sections. So this is my preference, my way of working. You will have to decide for yourself what is the best approach for you. Okay. Even if DI and LR still no separate cutoff, if DI and LR are separate, then there will be separate cutoff. Please remember, all I have said is don't expect. In the 2011 paper, if there were sectional cutoffs, there would have been 6 cutoffs. 2011 paper, 6 sections, there should be 6 sectional cutoffs. So if I was taking this paper, I would have tried to make sure that in my first round, I get at least 2 marks out here. Or let's say 3 marks, 2 to 3 marks is what I would target here. Quant has 24 marks. As I said, I will target 1/4 bare minimum. So I would say the cutoff of quant in 2011, if it was there, would not have been more than 6. DI again would not have been more than 4 or 5. LR would have been again something like 5 or 6. EU again something like 4 marks and 3 marks. So that's the kind of section. So if this was a 2011 paper, I would have ensured I got this much, or this is what I would have assumed the sectional cutoff. My logic is very simple. I will assume sectional cutoff. Let me write it here. I am giving you what I will assume and work on. It could be different. I will assume that the sectional cutoff to be equal to 1/4 of the marks of the section. Okay. I will work on that basis. And overall cutoff, I will target 60%, okay, which means 60 marks. If I end up with 55, it is okay. If I end up with 52, it is okay. If I go to 62, great. But I will target 60. If I end up with 55, so be it. I have done what is the best I could have done. Because if I have ended up at 55, maybe the paper was more difficult. All of us would have reduced our attempts, and hence it would have been not an issue to anyone. Tejasvi is asking, is it certain they won't raise GK cutoff more than 3 marks? Just if they raise it more than 3 marks, they will not be able to get students. Please remember, they don't determine cutoff, you all do. Because you people have not been able to do well in GK in the past as students, your marks have been very low, hence they have to keep low cutoff. Cutoff is determined by students as a whole, not by the institute. Okay. How much time to spend on GK section? 10 minutes. Okay. 10 minutes is what is my recommendation. Okay. How many questions to attempt in quant? Let's see. Let's just go back to that. Okay. Now, if I'm saying I want a score of something like 50, or let's say I'm saying 55, 60, I will say, if I was taking 2012 paper, given the paper, I would have looked at, as I said earlier, 3 marks in GK. Okay. For an average student, 2.5 to 3 marks is good enough. Okay. Quant, I would have looked at something like 17 to 18. Okay, because last year's paper was reasonably easy. So I'll say about 17 odd marks out here. DI, I would have looked at about 8 to 9 marks, on the higher side 10 marks. LR, again, out of 15, I would have looked at about 12 marks or so. Okay. EURC, again, the time consuming part or the confusing part other than sentence correction, if I account for all those things, and RC, I will say 2 to 3 passages out of these 27 marks, I would have looked at maybe another 15 to 17 marks. Okay. Now, what does that mean? 20, 20, 20, 40, 55 to 57. Okay. That's the kind of thing which should have happened last year. Okay. Now, in other words, when you look at this paper, you need to remember, I am again repeating, let me come back here. You need to maximize in quant and LR first of all. These are the maximizing areas. In quant and LR combined, your target can be up to 35 marks. Lowest 30 up to 35 marks. Okay. I am again repeating, GK could be about 3 marks. And believe me, 3 is a very good score. It might look small, but half a mark, 6 marks, correct answer is what I am looking at. Okay. And this is extremely important that you don't do any guesswork. Okay. So if you can get 30 to 35 marks out here, let's say about 7 to 8 marks in DI, so this becomes something like already between these 3, 40 to 45 marks. And that means in EURC, you need to get another 15 to 20 marks, which is not difficult. So that's a broad outline that I would look at as far as this paper is concerned. How lengthy are the RCs? You can expect the RCs to be about 600 to, on the higher side, 1000 words. But last couple of years, I think they have been stabilizing around 600 to 800 words. Okay. So, but they are factual. In RC, you can afford to glance through the question and then do the passages. Okay, let me see what are the other questions. How lengthy are the RC, which I've already. Okay, what to do about long questions? Yes, IIFT has long questions. Nothing can be done about it. So when you have a long question, please remember, a long question you will most of the time come to know after the paper. Okay? You will know after the paper, which means in the paper it is long because you cannot solve it. So one of the issues could be you are unable to solve it. Or maybe it's a wrong question. There's data mismatch or this is inconsistent. So if you are not able to solve a question, it could be because you have not understood it or it is wrong. In the paper, you can't say. So it is only after the paper when you will say, okay, this was a wrong question. So from your point of view, assume there's nothing called a wrong question. If you can't solve a question, leave it. After the paper, we'll look at the wrong question and then decide what to do with it. Total number of questions to be attempted. I would say you need to get 60 marks. 55 to 60 should be your target based on last couple of years papers. And for a general category candidate, again, I'm differentiating. I'm saying a general category should target 60 marks, OBC 55 marks, SC, ST, PWD 50 marks. Okay? Because the number of marks per question is varying, and this is again assuming the level of difficulty same as last couple of years. Average sectional cutoff in quant. in any section you can assume that the cutoff will be 1/4 of the number of marks. It is unlikely to be higher than that. Precedence order, once again, okay, completely personal for each one of you. I have given you my preference order. You need to decide for yourself what has to be done. How many RCs to be done, and should I attempt paper in the order of GK, EU, RC? Amal, again, typically 2 RCs are sufficient. If you are strong or good in English, then maybe 3 RCs can be done. But most of the time, you will not do all 4 RCs. Okay? So if you are strong in English, then in 15 minutes you can look at doing 3 RCs. Most of you will look at doing only 2 RCs. And what order? Entirely your choice. Can I attempt 10 questions in QA with 100% accuracy and leave it in 15 minutes? Yes, Gaurav, you can. Attempting 10 questions and leaving yes, you will clear the cutoff, but you may not be able to maximize your score. Score maximization, I will say your target has to be 35 odd per mark, 30 to 35 marks in quant plus LR. Remember, to me, this is the key. To put it very simply, 30 to 35 marks in quant plus LR is what is required from you. Another 15 to 20 marks in EU plus RC, 7 to 8 and another 10 marks in DI plus GK. Okay. And again, I'm repeating, if you are strong in GK and this 3 marks can become 10 marks, then you have made it clear that you will be able to get it. Any quick tips on where to prepare GK from the next few days? Just go to the GK Compendium, GK Question Bank, the videos which have been put on the website on your essays. That is what you should be doing. Just keep on doing them again and again. Do not worry about all areas. If we go to the IIFT papers, now look at this, all areas are covered. Now, supposing you are not comfortable with personalities and awards, don't worry about it. If business and economy is your interest area, next couple of days just practice business and economy, because it is a let me say, reasonably balanced paper, because questions are there from all aspects of GK. So just pick up whatever you have and start working on it. Can I do rough work anywhere on the paper? Yes, you can do your rough work anywhere on the paper. And yes, one thing which I should have mentioned, please carry 3 pencils, HB pencils, because all my sheets have to be marked darkened with HB pencils. You should have your sharpeners and eraser. A good quality eraser is essential. Okay. Make sure you don't forget these items. Another thing which you need to remember is OMR sheet marking. If you mark one question at a time, many times it is a little cumbersome. So you may say, I will mark at the end of every page. But when you are marking in a group, which means at the end of every page, or after completing the DI set, I will mark all the questions together. Then you need to be a little careful, because if you mark one question wrongly, the entire set becomes incorrect. So instead of question 10, if you have marked question 11, then the 11th one will come in place of 12th and so on and so forth. So OMR sheet marking is critical. The preferred mode is, if you are okay with that small wastage of time, one at a time. Do a question, mark it. This is the standard mode, sorry, not the preferred mode. The preferred mode is RC passage, completed, go ahead and do it. DI set, completed, do it. The 2 analogy questions done, go ahead and do it. Or you could say, end of the page. On page 1, I attempted 6 questions. Let me mark the answer of all 6 questions together. So mark in terms of groups, but don't make it a complete paper. What to do in the next couple of days? Nothing much. Just go to the past IIFT papers, go to your GK, and focus on this only. How many students take exam and how many are shortlisted? Only about 50 or 1,000 take this paper, not too many, and about 600 odd. I think I'm a little off here. I don't remember the exact number which are shortlisted, but it could be around 500 to 600. Pulkit again is asking OMR should be filled at the end or side by side. I will say the middle part, which means end of every page fill up the answers which you have solved on that particular page. Would doing past papers in reverse chronological order be enough preparation? No, yes, that should be enough. Okay. Between 2012, 11, 10, 9. And when you go to 9, 8 and 7, don't worry too much about the quant. The quant of 9, 8, 7 will find to be distinctly different from 11 and 12. So don't be too worried about it. Should we fill OMR with blue pen or black pen or pencil? It is pencil. OMR is pencil. Pencils have to be used, HB pencil. And I hope you will be able to use your admit card for measurement in geometry. Okay, anything else? Okay. Sheets are provided for calculation. No, the question paper which is given to you is what you have to use for calculation. If you attempt a wrong question, then marks are deducted. Yes, negative marking of 1/3 is there. If we don't attempt, do we get bonus marks? If I attempt a I'm sorry. Abhinav is asking if I attempt a wrong question, then marks are deducted. Most of the time, the wrong questions are deleted, which means you don't get any marks and you are not penalized for that also. However, the flip side is you have already wasted some time. Unfortunately, that is the reality. It is not completely fair, but that is the way it is. So most of the time, incorrect questions will be deleted, and you will be, all of you will have fewer questions to look at. The other thing would be all of you could get 1 mark for that question, or that mark for that question would be given to all of you. Abhi is asking, what is your hunch? A paper like last 2 years or a more difficult version? I will say a paper like last 2 years. Okay. IIFT has deliberately reduced the degree of difficulty and made it a little more easier, especially in the area of quant. And I don't see them going back. I could be wrong, but my hunch is that they are unlikely to make it more difficult. Can I attempt one RC only and use the other for quant and DI? Yes, Akash. Actually, if you have EU and RC as a single section, as was the case in IIFT paper of 2012. Now, in this paper, EU and RC is a single section. You could have said, let me do just one RC passage, the easiest one or the simplest one, and leave it. That's perfectly fine because you have only sectional cutoffs. Okay? But EU is something which you should be looking at closely. Parag is asking me 10 questions in 3 DI sets and 15 minutes. No, Parag, typically if you look at the last year, the last couple of years papers, you'll find there would be about 5 to 6 questions in the DI set. Okay. So last year for those 19 questions, there was a 2 question set also, there was a 5-6 question set also. Okay. Another thing with respect to DI is, do not worry too much about multiple charts. Data sets with multiple charts, multiple graphs, best avoided. Okay. If DI is my strong point, can it be DI plus LR be 35 marks? Yes, why not? But remember, DI out of 19 questions, there would be, if I look at last year's paper, out of the 19 questions, there would be at least 5 or 6 questions are not worth attempting. And 15 out of 15 in LR will still not take you to 35. Okay. So if you're looking at DI plus LR out of a total of 34 marks, DI plus LR is total of 34 marks. If you get something like 25 to 27 out here, I would say it's a good job. Okay. So that is the way I would look at this thing. I don't think DI plus LR will give you 35 marks at all. In any case, the last year's paper was 24 marks, 19 plus 15. Last year, 16 plus 21, 37. So you can go up to as high as 30, but 30 will take a huge amount of time, especially those 2 or 3 questions of DI will be extremely time consuming. And in LR also you may get stuck with those couple of difficult or time consuming input output or series questions. So I would say LR plus DI 25 is a good target. LR plus DI, if you are looking at, I would say 25 to 30 is a good target to look at. How much marks quant and LR there in the paper? Amit, it changes every year. Please remember, IIFT, if you look at, if we go back to the earlier years also, The total marks are the same, 100 marks, but the breakup will keep on changing. Look at GK, 14 marks, 10.5 marks in the year before this. Okay? 25 marks in quant, 24 marks almost the same. 34, 16 plus 21, 37. So the total marks will always be 100 is what you need to remember. By and large, this is the kind of breakup you will have. What should be the strategy if no sectional cutoff is there? If no sectional cutoff is there, and again that is assuming they will say that clearly in the paper. If they say that clearly in the paper that there is no sectional cutoff, then my strategy will be okay. Let me just guess. If there is no sectional cutoff, then I will go with this kind of a strategy. Yes. Then I will stick to this. Spend this much time, the last 15 minutes, but I will do it only if the paper clearly tells me that there is no sectional cutoff. If the paper is silent on this aspect that whether there is sectional cutoff or not, I will not be focusing on the section. I will not go by this strategy. Then I will say I will assume sectional cutoff. So if the paper clearly says no sectional cutoff, this is the default model which I will advocate. Yeah, question. OMR has question number given. What to do in the next 24 hours? As I said, you could look at just revising GK more than anything else, because those 2 or 3 extra marks in GK could really put you on the top. Okay, I think I have more or less covered the question in this part. Let me go to the Q&A box. Will we have to submit a question paper after the exam? IIFT allows you to carry the question paper home. So which is why once you are done with the paper and then once you reach, after the paper, once you reach home, I want you to again visit careerlauncher.com/CAT2013 or the exam corner. Enter your answers in the OMR and we give you IIFT score. We will be giving you the IIFT marks, the answer key. And as we have done in the case of CAT, we will be able to calculate the percentage and also possibly give you an idea which of you are most likely to get a call. So if you fill up your OMR sheet, e-OMR sheet, which will be available in the website on this link or the exam corner page of careerlauncher.com, and we'll also have a webinar analysis of IIFT on the same day at 4 p.m. Which all ID proofs, photocopy, you have to take your admit card. Okay. I think it is. Okay, Pulkit is asking after IIFT I have that, what should be the strategy for this? Pulkit will discuss that on Tuesday. Okay. I am in the process of writing a blog for that. Hopefully that will be able to take care of most of your issues. Are these watches allowed inside the center? Yes, you are allowed to carry your watches. Okay. You are allowed to take this watch. You are allowed to take your admit card. You obviously will not be allowed to take a scale or compass. Gaurav is asking 15 in LR, 10 in quant, 25, 12 in DI, in 75 in good strategy. I am a little uncomfortable at 10 in quant. Given the last 2 years paper of quant, you can definitely look at 13 to 15 at 10. 15 in LR is good. 12 in DI is good. 27. If you can make that 10 in quant, okay, it's in 75 minutes. Yeah, I think that should work. 27 and 10, 37. Gaurav, 37 marks in 75 minutes. You still need to get a little more. So I think it will work by and large, but you still need to increase your quant by a couple of questions, if not more. Ways to improve the number of attempts, nothing much to do. Don't waste too much time in GK and EU. The maximum amount of time wasted in IIFT happens in GK and EU. These are the time wasting areas in the paper because these are the areas where you know you will not be able to solve the question, yet you keep on spending time. You read the question 2 or 3 times, this is time wasted. which is why I said initially, this is fixed. You cannot do more than 10 minutes in GK, assuming there are 15 up to 20 questions. Okay, I think this by and large covers. What should we be concentrating on? Grammar. Just do all the sentence correction questions of IIFT of the last 5-6 years and maybe SNAP also. If there are no sectional cutoffs, why would one even attempt GK? Venkat, again I'm repeating, IIFT has never specifically written that there is no sectional cutoff. Last year was one of the few occasions when they have clearly given a sectional cutoff. But they have never explicitly said there is no sectional cutoff. And even last year they did not say there will be sectional cutoff. So assume there is sectional cutoff and work accordingly. Okay. Let me come to the Q&A box and see what are the questions which are there. Okay, let me just start with the sectional cutoff screen. Okay, sectional cutoff screen seems to be a fairly popular screen. So let me just go to the, yes. What should be the number of RCs to be attempted? As I said, RCs 2, maximum of 3 in 15 minutes. Most of us will do 2 in 15 minutes. Some of you who are very strong in RC will be able to do an RC passage in 5 minutes. So 3 passages is what you will be able to then do. How to scan 128 questions? Don't scan question, you scan the pages. For example, when you are scanning RC, all you are looking at is what is the length of the passage and how many questions per passage. Okay. So you have some broad idea as to what is the length of passage and how much time to devote. Okay. Similarly, when you are scanning the DI section, I will look at how many tables and graphs with data are there. How many graphs do not have data given on it. I will look at how many multiple sets are there. So those are the kind of cues I will see. I will try to pick up to ensure I am able to understand the paper better. Okay, I have already taken the sectional cutoff part, so I will just skip that one. So Charles is asking, which part should I invest more, RC or DI? DI is 1 mark per question, RC is 0.75 marks per question, so logically RC. Logically DI. However, if you are not strong in DI, then obviously it has to be RC. So I will say the area which is your stronger point, which will give you more marks, is where you should be spending your time. Okay. I think we are getting similar questions. If it is not written anything about sectional cutoff, assume sectional cutoff. If it says there are no sectional cutoff, only then assume there. Only then can you say that I will forget about sectional cutoffs. Can we take a timer? I don't think it should be an issue. Just to be on the safe side, Waliullah Hashmi, you can take a timer, but just to be on the safe side, carry a watch with you also, just in case they don't allow you to use the timer. Can we carry this watch at the center? Yes, this is not CAT. No timer in front of you, so you'll have to take your wristwatch. So let me just again write down here, yes, a wristwatch is also to be taken. Divya is asking us, it is wise to attempt only. Is it wise to attempt only one section if I am not very good at other? Yes, it is fine. It is perfectly fine to do so. Divya, it should not be a problem at all because they don't have subsectional cutoff. They have sectional cutoff. Rishabh, I have already said spend more time in those areas which are a stronger point because that is where you will get a higher score. Do we get extra seat for calculation? No, you have to do all your calculation on the paper itself. Okay. You have to do everything, all your rough work on the paper itself. Okay. I think so just to summarize, these are the cutoffs, and the other part which I think is important for many of you is the time allocation part. Yes. decide on your time allocation and your sequence of doing the paper based on your strength areas. Whatever you are comfortable with is what you should be going ahead with. Okay. Okay, should we do multiple choice first or single answer question? It has by and large single answer question only. Okay, I think that covers by and large the question. Is it advisable to do calculation with pen and mark the circle with pencil? Yes, whatever you are comfortable with. I prefer doing everything with a pencil. The reason why I've written 3 pencils and a sharpener is I don't want to keep changing my pen regularly. So I'll always have 3 pencils available with me at any point of time, sharpened pencils, so that I don't waste my time at all. Okay. How to use admit card for questions? Praveen, please measure the dimensions of your admit card. And folding is what you need to look at. Okay, I think I have answered most of the questions. And okay, there's someone. Okay, no. I think yes, we have covered almost everything. So let me just close the session for you. These are the time limits that you should be looking at. Okay. These are the target scores based on your category. Based on your category, please look at these target scores. Don't worry if you are not able to achieve these target scores. Most probably that would mean that it was a difficult paper and the cutoffs will fall. I have given you these target scores based on last year's paper. Okay. And just to finally repeat, Quant LR is the area to maximize target 30 to 35% out here. DI 7 to 8 going up to 10 is possible. So between Quant LR and DI, if you can get something like 40 to 43 questions of Quant plus LR plus DI, so all you engineers, all those of you who are good in Quant and DI, if you can get 40 to 43 questions there, let's say another 3 questions in GK, 3 marks in GK, that gives you 45, you have made it. The LR, I am repeating, LR is the area which can be maximized based on last 2 years' papers. Quant also can be maximized. Okay. Okay. So let me just close the session here, and all the best for your paper. And immediately after the paper, please do come to the CAT Corner page or the Exam Corner page. We will have an EOMR for IIFT scores. We will have an analyst at 4 p.m. But immediately after the paper, within an hour or so, we would be flashing what is our first estimate of cutoff for IIFT. All the best. See you on 24th afternoon. Thank you very much.